The events of September 11, 2001 will be etched into the minds of every American old enough to remember. Many of us remember exactly where we were and what we were doing at the moment we heard that our nation was under attack. I know I do, and I know that my friends and those closest to me do as well. The shock and horror of the moment instantly turned into grief and anger, and then that anger turned to resolve and caused a remarkable change in this nation and its people. There emerged a unity in our newly found resolve and a willingness to forgive, or at least overlook the differences between us and work together to prevent such an occurrence from ever possibly happening again. We grew together as a people in a promise to make triumph out of tragedy. Our government set out on a path to defend us against an unseen enemy, and one that is difficult to identify. Never before have we been faced with defending against a malignant ideology such as this. Heretofore, we had faced nations or parties that stood in opposition to what we hold dear. But at that moment, we were fighting an enemy without an organized state. We began a fight against a set of ideas, which is and was without reason. Our government brought all of its vast resources to bear against this enemy. Many heroic efforts have been made over the past 10 years by individuals on the field of combat, in the gilded halls of the diplomat, and by those aiding the destitute and driven refugee. All of these efforts have required a great personal sacrifice, dedication to duty, love of country, and humanity. All of these heroic deeds, and of all of these heroic deeds, few can compare to those who have now become known as our first responders. These were men and women who saw the threat, saw that danger, and rather than retreat from it, they ran to confront it, with no regard for their personal safety, but only for the regard for the safety and protection of others. We must never forget these Americans. Many of them from that day are no longer physically with us. All first responders, both then and now, are worthy of reverence with our remembrance. It is said that there is no greater love than the love shown when one is willing to lay down their life for that of a friend. But to be willing to sacrifice self for friends and strangers alike out of a sense of duty is a love that words cannot adequately describe. I honor these men and women and will keep them and the people that they know and they knew and that they loved in my prayers through all the days of my life. I hope all who hear my voice today will do the same. 10 years is a long time, but not so long as to truly dim the memories of that day. It should also not be so long as to remove the thoughts and feelings we have for those who selflessly sacrificed that day and the thousands of lives that were lost at the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and in that field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania on September 11th. Some of those who planned those senseless acts have been brought to justice. I believe that some are now just receiving the justice that they truly deserve for their hate and for the destruction that hate inspired in them. There are many others yet to be punished for their actions. We as a nation must never rest until all are brought before the bar of American justice. Yet there are those that attribute the acts of evil men to a single religious faith and refuse to recognize that men and women, no matter how or no matter what their faith, are free to choose for themselves. All people are free agents unto themselves, and individuals should be judged not by their skin color or religious creed, but by the content of their character. It is easy to be a bigot. It is easy to make judgments based on preconceptions and fear. And it is easy to mistakenly apply blame to the innocent. All of these things work against our progress and diminish the sacrifices made by those that day in September, as well as those in the years before and in the years since. That is what the terrorists truly want. They want us to hate like they hate and loathe like they loathe their fellow man. But we are Americans, born in liberty, raised in freedom, and steadfast and true in our love of country and of our fellow man. We fought for freedom in the revolution that created our great nation, and we fight to preserve that freedom at this very moment. United in purpose as we remember 9/11, we gather today to remember the victims of the attack on our nation that day, as well as to never forget the hole that it left in our collective hearts. But yet, our hearts still beat strong, still beat true. We also gather to remember and give thanks to those in uniform who fight in foreign battlefields against our sworn enemies who wish to do us harm for no other reason than because we are the United States of America, the beacon of freedom and prosperity to the rest of the world. We remember the brave passengers of Flight 93 as the embodiment of the American spirit, who sacrificed their lives so that no other lives would be lost at the hands of terrorists that day. That can-do spirit, that can-do American spirit, found in the simple words of passenger Todd Beamer, who was heard to exclaim, "Let's roll," prior to taking back the plane of Flight 93 that had been taken from them. We remember the 343 first responders who lost their lives doing their duty at Ground Zero, who proved to us every day why we can live in peace because of their dedication and their sacrifice of their very lives. We remember the lives lost at the Pentagon, at the World Trade Center, and the innocents on American Airlines Flight 11, United Airlines Flight 175, and American Airlines Flight 77. And we remember all who worked so hard to put America back together, from Ground Zero to the Pentagon and beyond, in the days and the months and the years after 9/11. They demonstrated not only the toughness of the American resolve, but also that we would never be intimidated by those who sought to destroy us. We remember because we can never forget. All who we remember today makes us who we are, stronger and still free. Over the past 10 years, we Americans have come to understand how fragile freedom really is, how easily evil people can conspire together to remove our liberties, how valuable is eternal vigilance, patriotism, and how precious is the moral foundation of our society. The promise of we, the living, to those who lost their lives on September 11th, is to honor them by never being afraid, never giving up, never giving in. I hope that all of us will learn from our experiences of that day how to be better citizens, how to appreciate all that has been sacrificed by others to pass on to us the precious blessings of liberty. Yes, September 11th was America's darkest day, but out of the darkness of that horrible day has risen a stronger nation, resolved to make the world a safer place for the people who inhabit it. While we continue to grieve, we remain united in purpose, we remain united as a people, we remain the United States of America. God bless each and every one of you. God bless the lives who were lost on September 11th. And God bless our great nation. Thank you.